Hey, it's Rich, the Louisiana Hobby Guy. And today I am in the laser lab, and right behind me, I'm going to be using the Lasermatic 30 in 10-watt mode to create some Easter eggs for the kids. Let me get up and show this to you. I've done some testing. The reason why I'm doing this in 10-watt mode first is because I already got the 10-watt settings last year. So let me show you this egg. See if I can get up close. There is the text, and I did some graphics right over it because I didn't want to waste too many eggs. So I got to be careful not to drop this too. And I'm just getting all of the settings down here, and there is a little Easter basket with the bunny and some eggs in it. And these settings were perfect from last year. So I did this one in the 10-watt mode, not the 30-watt mode, but I will be doing another one later on in the video in 30-watt mode, so you can get an idea of what's going on. So with that said, I'm going to start Lightburn real quickly, and we'll head over there. I'm going to say recent projects, and we'll get this little Easter egg right here. Now, the important thing here, first off, it doesn't matter where I put this on the bed, on the laser bed. The important thing here is on the laser tab over here where it says laser, we want to look at the position, and you'll see that I've got this in current position and the job origin is in the center. That means that when it comes time to frame, it's going to drop down and go all around the outside. If I wanted to frame, I'm not going to frame because I took the measurements of my egg. In addition to that, I've got up here at the top, and it could be any place in your version of Lightburn, is this little circle that says rotary setup. So I've clicked on that, gone into the rotary setup, made sure that I had chuck enabled because I'm using the chuck roller today. Make sure enable rotary is on. And on the Lasermatic, it is 96 millimeters per rotation is the top setting. The bottom setting is just to give you a calculator. And it is important on the Lasermatic, apparently, that you put this number in. So my egg diameter is 44 millimeters, which gives me a circumference of 138. 138 is the number. I'm actually going to remember like 135 because that's the distance all the way around the egg. And I don't want a graphic to be any more than 135 millimeters high. And I also have to be careful that it's no more than about 40 millimeters there. That's about the size that I want it to be wide. And you see down here, the egg is going to go in sideways. So that's why I have this position sideways here. I want to keep that down to 40, and I want to keep the height, whatever the number is at 40 wide is going to be perfect for me because I don't want it to be any wider than 40. If I were to be doing text, so let me grab some text here, and I was doing, let's say, Happy Easter as an example. What I would want to do is wrap this around the egg. So you just press either the comma or the period key. The period key turns it to the right, comma key turns it to the left. And here's where that circumference comes in, is very important. So now we have to look at the height on here. And you see that's 189. If you remember, it was 138 is the distance all the way around the egg. So, and then I said I want it to be 135. Well, this is why. If I type 135 in there, that will wrap the entire egg right there. And I think I would probably even make this 130 instead for the height. Now, I know that will go all the way around the egg. Another important thing is if you look, see that green dot right there? So that green dot is the origin. So if you're going to be combining graphics and words, then you have to, you see how that origin changes? Well, we need to be careful with that. So we'd need to position these two together like that. And now I would get Happy Easter with the little Easter bunny on top. But I have to go look at the width is 58.663. That 58.663 is not something that I would be comfortable with because it would be larger than the egg. If I were to take a look at the egg real quick, let me turn on my caliper and get it zeroed. And if I put my egg in here, let me get it just right. You'll see that that is 57. That's the entire distance across the egg, and that's not going to work for me. So don't forget that we've got the little the jeweler tongs that are holding it on one side, and on the other side, no, there's really nothing on the other side. But what I want to do is I want to be somewhere in a safe area and get most of the egg. So I want it to be around, I'm going to say 37 millimeters is the area that I want to engrave right here. So that's good. We got that number. I've written that down, 37. We can go up to about 40 on these and still be safe. So I'm going to just change this in the software. Let's go back to Lightburn. I'm going to change the width up here. Instead of 58, I'm going to go 40. And now you see that how that green dot is perfectly centered on both of these. That should frame really well. But before we do that, let me show you how I got the roller accessories set up on the Lasermatic behind me. I had to do a separate video on that because I can't seem to get my regular cameras to focus while I do it here. So I'm going to switch over to another video right now, and I'll show you how I did that. All right, so it's really hard to record inside the Lasermatic because it just doesn't come out well, I guess, all the aluminum reflections or whatever. But the first thing I did was I installed the chuck roller. And as you can see, one of the reasons why this is so great is because of the positioning pins. This can't move. It's in one permanent spot. So there are like little dowel pins underneath, like little standoffs. They fit into a certain position, and once it's there permanently. It doesn't move unless you pick it up, of course. And the first thing that I did was I flipped these jaws around. So normally the jaw's on the outside. I flipped it around and I moved it down to just having one hole exposed right there. So I just moved it down to the second hole. I only put one screw in because it doesn't need more than that. And there we go. So now it's ready for the egg. Then what I did was I screwed these pieces right here in, all three of those, to the end of the jaws. So now I've got that all set, and we can now hold the egg. And then on this side, I put the little round piece. You screw this little round piece right into the end here, and it doesn't stop turning. It turns forever. But instead of using the wheels up here, like for instance, a champagne glass, I'm going to put this little round piece in right here. Let me see if I can move this to a place where you can, you're not going to be able to see that no matter what I do. But that little round piece right there, maybe that's a better way of saying it, is what's going to hold the egg. And the way that I'm going to do this is by simply taking the egg and putting the smaller end, this left side, I'm going to put it into the jaws right there. And then I'm going to slide this piece up to here. And that's all we need to do as far as getting this aligned. Now, of course, you have to go up and down with the little positioner over here to raise this up or down to get it in the right spot. You can tell by when you move it, it looks like it's pretty close to perfect. So that looks pretty good right there. Then all you do is just put a little turn on both of these wing nuts right here to hold that in place. So now we've got our egg fully positioned. If I turn it, you'll see that it turns perfectly. And we're now ready for to set up our laser. Now, what I like to do is with the laser off, I like to take and move this over the egg and then do my focusing. And the focus doesn't matter so much on this. You just want to be pretty close. So let me bring this down just a little. And that's pretty close right there. That's almost perfect. And it doesn't really matter as long as you focus somewhere in the middle, because that little curvature of the egg is not going to affect the engraving. It's sort of like the metal business cards where you don't have to be in perfect focus. So even though it's going to drop off in both directions, it's still going to come out fine. And then when it's time to actually start the laser, a couple of things you want to keep in mind. Number one, these little parts over here that stick up, they should not be sticking up from the top. But that doesn't matter if you do it like this. Just pull this up to the front, almost to the front, right about there, so that it's clear of that entire chuck rotary right there, and then turn it on and let it home. And there you see we have no problems with the homing. And now we can either use the move tab, or for this video today, I'm just going to position it by sight. I'm just going to move it directly to the center of the egg, where I think the center is. And I'm thinking that right about there is probably where I want to run this job from. So that's it. It's all set up now and ready to go. Quick and easy. And then when it's time to change your eggs, you just hold this on this side, undo these wing nuts just a little bit, put your hand under the egg, obviously, and pull it out, and you can take the egg out, put the next one in. It goes very quickly. And for this video, you can see that I have that set to 10 watt mode right there and not 30 watt. So that's because I already have the settings for the 10 watt from last year. So I'm going to do it in 10 watt mode, and then I'll do another one in 30. Okay, so let's flip back into Lightburn for 1 minute. And I just want to cover my settings and make sure everything is okay here. So I've got my Happy Easter that I'm going to put on the egg. And like I said, we can put this anywhere because we're in current position, and we're going to frame from the center. And I just want to make sure up here that my width up here is 40 millimeters, because that's as wide as I want it on the egg. And my height's going to be good, because to wrap the entire egg, it would need to be like 123, 125, something like that. So I think we're all set. I'm going to turn on the laser. I took a little bit of a break in between here. I'm going to turn on the laser, and we're going to get started. So being that I've got the laser pulled all the way to the front, I don't have to worry about anything crashing when I turn the laser on. So it's not going to hit anything. It's going to go directly to the home position. Here we go. Now, as you can see, it did not home. So let me show you the reason why it didn't home. Because it didn't recognize it's on the wrong COM port. So if I just right click the devices button, that'll reset the COM ports. It'll look for the laser, and it didn't find it. So sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. So I'm going to pull this down and choose COM 4, because that's the COM port the laser is on. And now you can see that it is home and it's ready. I'm going to walk over to the laser, open this up, and hopefully you can see this well on camera. I'm just going to move this by hand over to where I think the middle is of the egg. And I'm going to take a minute and try and get it just right. And that looks good. And I'm going to check my focus. focus is good. And keep in mind, folks, that on this egg, it's a soft material. It's sort of like those aluminum business cards where the focus doesn't matter as much as it does like with wood, for example. So even though it's going to come down on the round on both sides, it still should be okay because all we're doing is removing the outer color. So we'll close that up, and if all is in good order here, I should be able to just hit the start button and we can get our first egg. Now I am running this in 10-watt mode, so I'll probably speed this up a little bit. Lightburn is saying that this job is going to take about 5 minutes. So I'll speed this up so we get through it, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how I change out the egg. All right, so there we go. We're finished. I don't think I like the way the wording is so far down on the egg, so I'm going to change that for the second one. But for now, let's take the egg out. So as I said earlier, the only thing that we're going to do is slightly loosen the two wing nuts and hold on to the cradle while we do it. Okay, so as you can see here, the engraving came out just fine. The Happy Easter came out fine. But the problem is it was too far down on the curve. So, which distorted the letters a little bit. So, and it's also not going to look good if it's like sitting upright like that. So what I'm going to do is, let's go back to Lightburn. And I think this time I'm just going to do the Happy Easter and make it bigger. So I'm going to delete the graphic just so that you can get a better idea. Select the words Happy Easter. I know that we can make the width on these about 28. Let's see what it makes the height. So that's definitely too high. 123 is about where I want to be here. That's a lot higher than I wanted. I'm going to do 123 like that and press enter. And I think that should be fine. And it's only going to give us 12mm text. That's good for this demonstration. Let's go back and I'll show you how I load the next egg and run the next job. Here's my little basket of eggs that I've got here. So I'm going to grab the next one. I'm going to put the small side into the jeweler's tongs. Just like that. And push this one up against it. Now, I am going to put a little bit of force on here, but not much. And then I'll tighten down the two wing nuts again. Now I'll just check it by rolling it. Doesn't seem to be quite tight enough. And I think I put the egg in the wrong way. I did. So let's loosen this once again. Take the egg out. Flip it around. The large side goes to the left. So once you go around one complete turn, and it's nice and even all the way around as you turn it, that means that it's ready to go. I know that took me 2 setups there to get that right, but I got it right. So let's go back to Lightburn real quick. And I'm trying to think, I think maybe what I'd like to do is put a name in here. So I'm going to right click on this, and I'm going to go to edit text shape down here. And up in the top, I'm just going to do, maybe at the bottom, the second line we'll do, I'm going to do Gino. That's my grandson. And I babysit him after school, so he'll get a kick out of this. So I'll say okay to that. And now we have the 2 lines, and the width is 30. Let me see if that's what I want. I just want to make sure before I run the job. 30 looks like a pretty good number. I think the text will come out good with 30. Let's give this one a shot and see how this job goes. And I am in the 10 watt mode now. So before I do that, I'm going to flip into 30 watts, and we'll run this one with 30 watts. Just make a quick little final adjustment there. All right, so I'm going to adjust my cuts and layers. On my cuts and layers, I'm going to change my speed to 4,000 and 30% power. And let's see how that comes out. So I've never done it on the 30 watt before. We're going to give this a try and see how it works. And there we go. All right, so we're all finished. Let me go take this off. Okay, here is the final result. Happy Easter, Gino. I think it came out pretty cool. Probably upside down though, because the egg is going to sit that way. So got to keep like these little things in mind. So let's go back to Lightburn. Now I brought in a new graphic over here, as you can see, and we're just going to use the graphic itself. So I've already determined over here that the width is going to be about 30. So we'll check this one. I made this one about 30. Let's delete this one, and let's run this job and see how this comes out. So the only thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to press the comma key twice and put it the other way around, and this way it comes out right. So let's jump back over to the laser, load the next egg. All right, our next egg is loaded. And one thing I do want to do, I think that was a little bit too dark. So I'm going to come to the cuts and layers. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to 5,000. And this is so small, I don't want to go too fast on it, but let's see what happens when we do this one. So I'll hit the start button and we can see what happens. Okay, so here we are, we're back, and I've decided to run this one double-sided, as you can see. And it's easy enough on something small like this. Oh, let me get a close-up shot of this. So there's one side, and there is the other. I think this would be perfect. You know, this would be a perfect egg. You could use any graphics that you want. You can use any text that you want, whatever you want to do. So this was my first test egg, which just to get my settings and to verify my settings, this was the text only egg that I did upside down. And now I know not to do it upside down. So and this is the final, just the cross with he is risen on both sides. And the way I did that, so you have the 3 jeweler's tongs, okay, and I put the one tong directly at the top. Normally I would make like a rectangle and split it into 3 and put the graphics on 2 lines to get it absolutely perfect. But this time I just put the jeweler's tong on top. So when the first side finished running, I just turned it so that that same jeweler's tong was on the bottom, and that's close enough. I mean, it came out nearly perfect. I don't know if you can see this or not, but here is the top of the cross there, and there is the top of the cross there. So that's nearly perfect. And on an item that's really small like this, that's all you have to do. So get your bucket, get your eggs. Now, one thing I didn't cover was the coloring. So these are farm fresh eggs, locally sourced here, and they're different. You know, we get all different colors. We just happened to get all brown this time, which is good. These were really consistent, and I asked the girl, you know, I wanted to get them all from the same chicken, and she said, yeah, she could do that. So that's why these are all exactly the same. But you can also buy white eggs, you know, regular eggs from the store, and you can color them like you would do normally for an Easter hunt. And let the coloring dry on it for at least 24 hours before you laser them, though. Last year I used regular white eggs that were colored, and they sort of bled. So I found out what the problem was. The next day, I tried the last egg that I had. It came out perfect. And the only thing that I can assume is that I didn't let it dry enough, because we colored them. I used a blow dryer on them, you know, got them dried off, and then ran some off for the kids. My wife asked me for them the day of the Easter hunt. So, or actually my daughter-in-law asked me for them the day of the Easter hunt. And so I had to do it pretty quickly. And I think that's the only variable that was there, was that the ones that I did really quickly, they sort of changed color. What, they didn't bleed. They just sort of had a different color around the edges of the engraving. But then the one I did the following day that was completely dry, that one came out absolutely perfect. So if you're going to color your eggs, to get to the point, if you're going to color your eggs, just let them sit out and dry overnight, and you should have no problem. So that's about it. The final numbers that I came up with on this, let me switch back over to Lightburn just to summarize. The final numbers that I came up with on this is 123 by 28 or so. Either one of those dimensions are going to work as long as you don't exceed the other. and that's for the text. And then for the graphic, 40. So this one I did at 30, and it's a little bit smaller, but it seems to fit the egg perfectly. I think it looks really nice on the egg. You could go as high as 40. Just stick below 40 on your eggs and you should be okay. These are large eggs, I think. I'm not quite sure because we don't ever ask that question. We just, call her up and say, do you have eggs, and go pick them up. I think we've covered everything today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I did write down these settings on my little pad here that I got from one of my subscribers, Chicago Bob. He put a little inscription on the back there. I absolutely love this, my sticky notes. I'm a big fan of sticky notes, as some of you may already know. So that's a great little tool to have here in this shop, because I'm always looking around for paper and a pen to write something down. Now I've got it written down. I've also got my library set up as well. And just to cover those numbers again, the 30 watt I did at 5,000 speed and 30 power on the 30 watt Lasermatic. In 10 watt mode, I did it at 1500 speed and 30 watt. So 1500 speed, 30 power, not 30 watt. 1500 speed, 30 power is the 10 watt. 5,000 speed, 30 power was the 30 watt. And again, like I've said before, when people ask me, do I just, triple the speed? No. Sometimes you may have to go even faster or even slower. So you just have to do your testing. But I think that this came out absolutely perfect. I'll show you one more time. There it is. And this would be sitting straight up. This would be tilted back, maybe in a basket. I think that looks absolutely beautiful. Came out nice. I have bad lighting in here, so it's hard to see. But yeah, so that's it. Go color some eggs, or go get some farm eggs, some dark brown eggs, and sometimes we get red eggs, sometimes we get orange eggs. This time we got all brown, so I was pretty lucky with that. Go get you some eggs, color them if you need to. If you're buying the store-bought eggs, make sure that when you do this, you do them at room temperature. So you don't want to take them like out of the fridge and bring them inside. No, don't do that. Let them come down to room temperature first before you actually put them on the laser, or the room temperature where your laser is. These have been sitting in this little tray here overnight, so in this room. So that's about it. I hope you enjoyed the video today as much as I enjoyed making it. Now I'm going to go hard boil some more eggs, and this time I'm going to do white eggs, and I'm going to use the food coloring on them, and we're going to make them all different colors. And in 2 more days, I'm going to make 24 eggs. So with the same setup. So I'm not going to take this setup down yet. So I hope you enjoyed the video today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.